My beloved sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Welcome to the 5th annual Building Bridges of Understanding Summit. We have united in efforts to improve how we prevent, respond, and to seek justice for traumatic incidents and criminal acts motivated by hate and bigotry. This year, we address the inequities in systems and institutions of our country that have led to social unrest and a racial reckoning among political upheaval.
I've said this throughout the summer that we are at a watershed moment in history. So I applaud all the peaceful protest endeavors to bring about change. We need them. They will continue. They are constitutionally protected. Policing should be carried out based upon criminal actions, not the color of one's skin.
George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Manuel Ellis, and Sandra Bland, and so many more, we say their names. When we build and bridge, like this event, we ask questions that get us all to reflect on our own beliefs and behaviors. We as law enforcement, elected officials, community leaders, educators, practitioners, and community members come into this space to work together to redefine community and public relations.
We want to work with you. We want to make the future brighter than the past has been. The same is true as I am inspired by the work that I've seen in our communities, the work that I've seen in our faith communities, the work that we've seen in the law enforcement and criminal justice community, and leaders who are saying it's time. We recognize it's time. And my friends, I say to you that one of the things I'm grateful for is the fact that we as a country have come to a place of understanding we've got unfinished work, and that unfinished work is not somebody else's job, it's our job.
You know, we can talk about the place for law enforcement, and we can talk about what police should and should not do. But by any measure, we spend too much on cops and not enough on other things that would actually make our community a better and safer place to be and would get out of the way of my civil rights.
You know, we see systems of public safety, we see systems of economic prosperity, we see systems of government that we've been able to rely on for centuries now, thinking that the same thing will work and work and work. It's just enough. If we need to tweak it a little bit, it'll still work. But the truth of the matter is that, and this is true for many of our communities, they were never built for us. They were not meant to protect us. They were not meant to be for us from the beginning, from the get-go. And so we need to have an honest conversation about what public safety actually means for people of color that have faced this harm for a very long time.
We recognize that discrimination pervades our entire justice system, from policing to trials to prisons to reentry barriers for returning citizens, and that the demand for change only represents a small down payment on all the reforms that are needed. Racism is considered a form of oppression in Islam, and therefore is the moral, religious, and communal duty of every American Muslim and our Muslim community here in Portland, not only to be against racism, but more importantly, to be anti-racist in all its form, as our faith calls for.
I think we need to revisit what it means, what the words community and stakeholder mean. I was listening to the news the other day. I heard a local law enforcement officer, a union officer, not leadership, but say that they were upset about this bill that's working its way through the city council about police oversight. And they said it needed to have the right stakeholders at the table. And that always makes me bristle, because I believe the community are the right stakeholders, that the community does have a voice. The community is not just the police or homeowners or business owners, it's everybody in the community. And we're very diverse, and we're high and low in income. So that just made me bristle. And I think if we're gonna make change, we have to actually begin at a level where we can say everybody's a stakeholder in this discussion.
I think of our criminal justice system like an emergency room for our society, for our community. And just like an emergency room, it's always open. It's intended to serve everyone, although it doesn't serve everyone well. It's often overwhelmed, and people often come to it in their moments of need. And they come to it usually after something has happened or when there's a need to do something. And it's really not well suited in those moments. So many of the issues we deal with have root causes that occur long before the criminal justice system can be involved. And if we can do more, I believe, to address those root causes sooner, I think we can rely less on our criminal justice system later. And so I believe one of the keys as we're thinking about how to reimagine, reinvest, reform, and evolve our justice system is to find ways to address those root causes.
I was reminded during the campaign of a conversation I had with a Portland man. He's a Black man, has kids, and he talked to me about this. And he said, Mike, he's like, public safety, we will have achieved public safety when I feel as safe letting my kids walk to school and run and play in the park as you do your kids. And I really, that stuck with me all throughout, that safety has to mean safety for everybody. And it's clear that we have failed in that regard. And this conversation sometimes is, challenging to hear, the criticism of the ways that we failed, but so necessary. And it really made me think about in my office, how can I prioritize safety and make sure that what I'm doing is for safety and making everybody feel safe.
We look forward to these continuing dialogues because I think it's very rich, it's very important. And as a community, we can come together for some solutions that really make sense for our community. And you've all presented some wonderful ways that can happen, some wonderful solutions. So how we can continue to increase our safety, justice, and equity for all.
We probably won't get to all of the questions, but we're just hoping that this is part of our ongoing conversation as we come together and hear each other's truths and find ways where we have common ground and where we can move forward and do better together.
I think we're all just really wrestling with this idea of how we can do better for our community, really improve equity in our relationships. So we got to do good. And as Representative John Lewis said, we got to get into some good trouble. And I wish you all a good night. Thank you.